In a world with only hot takes,
Two college friends try to cool down sports media.
join Jack and Jared every week as they tackle the biggest stories in the NFL.
And give the reasonable football analysis you won't hear anywhere else.
Welcome to 710 Sports.
Welcome back to 710 Sports with
Jack.
and Jared. Thanks for joining us after week 15 of the NFL season. We're going to talk about the big, crazy games from the weekend. A ton of overtime games, a ton of games that ended on the last play, and just some absolute classics. Just games we'll remember for a long time. Some historic, in fact. Historically bad sometimes. Historically great. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing as well as I can. After that loss, after that Patriots loss, which we'll be getting to, definitely excited. Looking at the playoff chances and stuff like that. I've been a not really, but like a Lions watcher. I've been trying to watch some of the Lions games, and not just this year, other years as well. Just as that sort of as my non-hometown team. That I try to pay a bit of attention to, that hometown we were favored. Not that. So, I'm kind of happy for them beating the Jets. Them beating the Jets at the 1 o'clock hour got me more hopeful for the Patriots too, for the playoff chance, to get Jets out of the playoffs, Patriots up.
Right.
Any hope there, what went away when what happened, which we'll be getting to. All more to say on that later. So.
When it happened, yeah.
It happened,
and I'll tell you what, you did say last week. You said at the end of the episode that you're taking the Lions. You say you think the Lions are going to get in the playoffs.
I'm taking them to go to the playoffs.
You said that.
And I'm standing by it.
We can discuss that further because I saw some stuff. I saw Dan Campbell do an interview in between week 14 and week 15 that really had that was a good. That was a good interview, to say the least. So let's just get right into it. We're gonna hit the biggest games and So first we gotta talk about the Saturday 1 o'clock game. I'm sitting and watching on my couch. The Colts are up 33-0 at halftime. I've watched the Vikings. I think they had a punt blocked, return for a TD. Fumble, interception. They had a turnover on downs. They had a punt. They tried to go for a fourth and 5 with a fake punt pass.
Oh,
that didn't work. That didn't work. All in the first half, down 33-0. And I was sick. I'm not sure if people can tell, but I'm coming out of it now. But I was sick most of the weekend. And I start to think I'm having fever dreams while watching this game, watching the Colts and Jeff Saturday on Saturday go up 33-0.
That would have been legendary. First coach who's named Saturday to play on Saturday and win. That would have been history right there. But instead,
I think he's now the first to lose. History.
Coaches named Saturday playing on Saturday have a 0% win rate. Actually, but yeah, win percentage.
So then in the second half, if my hallucinations got even crazier, because the Vikings end up going on a 36-3 run and tie the game in regulation. They end up basically going to overtime and winning with a field goal at the last second. At some point in the overtime, it looked like possibly no one was going to score and it was going to be a tie. And so it came to the point where this game was going to be historic almost no matter what happened. If the Vikings won, it was going to be the largest comeback in NFL history, which is what happened.
Which it was, yeah.
If they tied, it was actually going to be the first time that a team had tied twice in a season. That would be the Colts having 2 ties, which has never happened. But nonetheless, the Vikings pull out the win, and they are now, I think, 11-3, and they own the largest comeback in NFL history. Jack, thoughts on this game?
Thoughts on this game? I mean, yeah, I forgot there were Saturday games, as I'm sure many people did. Like until like I looked, I was like, oh yeah, like 2 p.m. Oh yeah, there's a game on right now. It's like 2:30. I go to check the game. I think I remembered it was going to be Colts Vikings. I look up Colts Vikings, and I look it up and I see this and I'm like, and I see 33-0, and I'm like, wow, the Vikings are really running away with this one. Yeah. And then I realized, wait a second, the Colts. And I was like, oh, how did this happen? Like, how Matt Ryan has 1 touchdown pass. How is this happening? I think he ended the game with only 1 touchdown pass. Yeah, he did. Less than 200 yards passing with touchdown pass is how he ended the game. That was like, and I saw it at the end of the first half, so it was still 33-0. I mean, yeah, the Vikings. I'm surprised that they staged this amazing comeback, and that's great. Right, but it's also like what happened? Why were you down 33-0 to the Jeff Saturday Matt Ryan Colts without Jonathan Taylor? It would blah blah blah. Like keep going down the list. Like, how'd you get into the situation? That's kind of worrying. They were able to get out of it. For the Colts, I mean, the Colts weren't going to make the playoffs realistically. I think they technically could have won the division still if they won, but who cares? Like. They weren't going to win out. Doesn't really mean anything with Colts. Okay, Colts are bad. Jeff Saturday will not be the coach next year. We know this.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
He might be a coach. I could see them moving him to O-line coach or whatever. Like, I could maybe shuffle him out. If he's a head coach next year, then I don't know, because blowing a 33-0 lead. Actually, and they had a lead against the Eagles with Jeff. Like they've blown a couple leads. So I would hope.
That's the thing. Yeah. I agree with you. This had nothing to do with the Colts. The Vikings somehow managed to beat themselves and the Colts in the same game. I mean, the Colts, like you said, the stats don't make any sense. Yeah, the Colts scored 36 points and Matt Ryan's got, there's like if you look at the total yards of offense, it's like, how could they score this much? It's because it was all on turnovers and
fake punts.
Fake punt. Like, just Vikings top to bottom in the first half played like defensively, offensively, special teams, one of the worst halves I've ever seen.
3 sides of the ball.
Yeah, and then in the second half, the exact opposite. So I guess, like, what do you think this says about the Vikings? Are you more worried about them than before? Like,
I'm definitely more worried about them than before, especially coming off a loss to the Lions, if I remember correctly, the week before. Yep. I'm definitely. I mean, a lot of the games have been 1-score games. This doesn't mean they're bad, because they're winning the 1-score. Like, it doesn't mean they're a bad team that all their wins are only 1 score, blah blah blah. Like, not all, but like that sort of thing. But people have been kind of shaky on them a lot of the season. The Lions were favorites. The Vikings were like 9-2 or 10-2. I think it would have been. I think it'd be 10-2.
Yeah, 10-2.
They were like 10-2, and they were underdogs to the Lions who had a losing record. Right? There's a reason that happens. That people have been kind of cagey on them. And I hadn't been as cagey on them. These past couple of weeks are making me more cagey on them. Especially, I may not have been a significant thing. I thought I saw Justin Jefferson may have an injury or something. I'd have to fact check.
He was out a couple of times during the game. He had a chest issue. Then he had come back in. Then he was out for concussion, I believe, because he got hit up high, defenseless receiver. But I don't know. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, or that's good. But I'm slightly cagey on them. Could I see them winning a wild card game? Right. Because I don't think they're going to get the 1 seed. But if they're the 2 seed and they get to play the Commies, or the Giant, or who won, the Giants won, and they get to play the Giants, I could still see this team winning a playoff game. But it makes me, this team against the 49ers, even the Brock Purdy 49ers, frankly, this team, a rematch against the Lions. A lot of these things I would be kind of, despite their amazing record, despite some of the stats they're putting up, I would be kind of cagey on them.
All right. Yeah. Very interesting, because I kind of disagree. All right. After this weekend, all right, I don't want to go crazy here, but what if they can win while down 33-0? I mean, what else? I mean, they were they lost
That's
40 to nothing to the Cowboys or something like crazy like that, or
45
to 7
something
or whatever
yeah.
it was. Like, okay, that's fine and all, but I guess they could have easily came all the way back and almost won that or won that game, because it's what we saw this weekend. If you're the Vikings, you got to walk into any game and be in any situation, and at this point tell yourself, this team, we can doesn't matter. We can come back from
they
that.
can
We
score
can
at
come
any
down.
moment.
We can score. And that's the thing about having a really high powered offense and having guys like Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook is, you can have a screen go for 65 yards and a TD just like that, and now you're back in the game. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'll take the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl, but would I be shocked if they make a run here? No, because it's like you said, all these games that they've been playing, it's been tight games, it's been big moments, and we kill Kirk Cousins, but here we are, primetime Kirk looked like he was going to lay another egg, and this is the 1 o'clock hour, so hardly primetime. But no, this is the only game on. This is all that they're watching.
Yeah.
So
all eyes on him.
I like it for the Vikings personally. That's me. But
I see your take. And I at least had I don't hate it. Right. I was kind of expecting when you started saying, I was like, I see what he's saying. That makes enough sense. I was seeing that. Here's what I'll say, and I'm going to say it partially for myself, partially because I had to imagine it's what a lot of people would say in response. So I'm also speaking for the people. They were playing the Jeff Saturday Colts, right? They somehow got up 33-0, but at the same time, anything can happen, man. Why? Like, it should have been, if they kneeled it out every time when they were up 33-0, like, I'd have to do it out. But if you kneel it, or you get like a 2-yard run, if you average 1 yard a carry on runs in the second half, and they just run and don't fumble, do they win? Purely on time?
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know.
And it's like, and that's obviously kind of this is partially conjecture, but like that's the sort of like I could like I'd wonder if it's anyone else but the Colts does this. I mean, it could happen to the Texans probably, but but they were. We'll get to that, but. I mean, that's the caveat I would put. Like, I definitely get what you're saying, and I actually do half agree with it. I just half this other thing, and I'd imagine many people would, who were already caged in the Vikings, wouldn't get, would say, okay, wow, like they were scored this crazy amount of points, staged this crazy comeback, but come on,
against an ESPN analyst and head coach. I hear you loud and clear, and that's but that's a great transition to the Texans, because the fact of the matter is, this is the NFL. This is anyone can win in any weekend, and the Texans are trying to prove that point. They have failed 2 weeks in a row, but playing good teams close. They even take the Chiefs to overtime. And it takes a fumble in overtime that's returned for a TD by the Chiefs to win 30-24. I actually didn't really see much of this game at all, but I think it was just important to mention, put some respect on the Texans' name. Playing good football, tight, fun games, gritty games, but still protecting that number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. Gotta keep the number 1 overall pick, because it's not just the number 1, it's the number 1 and the 33, which actually this year, because the Dolphins lost their pick, is the 32 without a 5th-year option, but still. But it affects all those draft picks. It's gotta keep the tank up. For me, the biggest thing, I didn't watch this game too. I mean, I was watching the score, but I wasn't watching it. I was watching some other game. I never forget what time this game was on at, but like which hour. For me, a takeaway from this game is the Chiefs are great, right? And they'd still be in that 300 game or whatever tier I had them in the past, whenever we last did the pin setters, the rankings. However, I feel like the Chiefs play down to their competition.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this. It happened this week, right? They had to go to overtime against the consensus worst team in the league. They lost to the Colts. Close game, but they lost to the Colts. I forget what happened even in that game. They played. I remember that game was a primetime game. They played the Titans, very tight. A Titans team that has not looked that is a winning record, might still make the playoff. Very well, still make the playoffs.
Good, though.
But
terrible division.
But they're not good. They're not good. And but that game, like that game was like the Titans were right in it. Some of these games, there is a bit of doubt being sowed, and that's not to say that I don't like the Chiefs. I do like the Chiefs, but there's a bit of doubt. They did lose to the Bills, right, earlier in the season. They just lost to the Bengals. They're playing down to their competition against some of these bad teams, bad to like we'll call the Titans mid-level, like that. It worries me. Not enough that if I were to do a ranking right now that I would dock them too many points for it. Right, I still like them. Patrick Mahomes still leads the league in passing yards and touchdown passes. Right, I still like what's going on there, but I just there's a bit of like worry there for me.
Yeah, and I can hear that. I mean, we know that they're gettable because they can give up points on defense. It's not the strength of that team. And so when you got, I mean, we've seen the QB by committee a couple of weeks in a row here put some numbers up against some better teams. But I guess, yeah, maybe they got something cooking down there in Houston. But I hear you. I hear you. I have the same take from last week. I don't feel much differently about the Chiefs after this. As I same thing with the Cowboys. I still think the Chiefs are really good, but I do agree. I think that when you've played in the AFC Championship game for 4 years in a row, it's like it is hard to get up against the Texans. So
I and that's exactly, and that's why I wasn't gonna like dock them too many points. Like I'm not that.
You could though. Well, you could.
I could. I very well could. I'm sure people will.
I'm sure they will. Some haters out there. Some Mahomes haters.
You started a good transition there to talk about the Cowboys here. They also lose in overtime to the Jaguars, who stage a comeback off of a Dak Prescott pick six. Thoughts on this? I did not watch this as much. I was paying attention, but
yeah. So just to give you a small background here, basically, Cowboys were up most of this game. They were up at half. They end up letting the Jags back into it. Dak throws a bad interception in the third quarter, overthrows the tight end. That leads to a TD. And next thing you know, Jaguars are right back in the game. Basically, they're down 3 at the end of the game. They're driving. Trevor Lawrence has played really good up to that point. He's got like 1 interception. He's got 3 TDs or 3 or 4 TDs or something. And I'm just waiting for the Trevor Lawrence special. I'm just waiting there's like a minute and a half left. I'm waiting for him to throw the pick, and he gets sacked. Just kidding. He breaks out of a sack, runs a bootleg out, and starts running down the field. And he just gets tackled and loses the ball almost in comic fashion. Like he's just like his body like spirals in the air.
Bit of a fumble machine
flying out. And I'm screaming and yelling at my TV, excited, because I think that was it. It was over because you got a minute 30 left. The Cowboys need 1 first down. They fail to get it. They fail to get a first down. Yeah. They go 3 and out, have to punt back to the Jags. The Jags get in field goal range, kick a field goal, and send it to overtime. And then basically Jags get the ball in overtime. I think they started with the ball. They punted, and Dallas – like on 3rd down, Dak throws to his receiver. His receiver, ball goes through this receiver's hand, gets tipped up into a Jaguars cornerback's hand, and he takes it home for the walk-off pick 6. And people are going to kill Dak for that. Absolutely not Dak's fault. Dak just puts it in this guy's hands, and this guy wants to, not catch it. But
maybe Dak should be throwing softer balls there, bro.
Maybe
he's got to put more touch. No,
here's the thing.
I'm just talking. That's not analysis right there. That's just talk.
Here's the thing. Yes. He did throw a bad pick in the third quarter that kind of helped the Jags get back into it. And I can't keep coming on here and defending Dak. I like Dak. Dak is my guy. All right, he's my favorite player in the Cowboys. He's a great guy on off the field. He's the leader of this team, and I'm not asking him to make up for the toxic and awful culture that is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not asking for him to single-handedly change the way that it's ran, the organization is ran from Jerry Jones down. he's working with one hand tied behind his back because his coach is Mike McCarthy. And before that, his coach was Jason Garrett. And so I don't want to kill him, but also at some point he's on his fifth, sixth year. He's got a max contract. You got to be able to win some of these games. You know what I mean? You can't. You got to be able to. If you have 90 seconds and you need one first down, we got to make that happen. I understand it's not his fault, but we got to be able to do something here. The last minute play was a mistake by Noah Brown or whatever. But before that, we shouldn't have even gotten to that, right? We gotta tighten these things up. And Dak, you gotta change the team culture a little bit. I'm sure you have. God knows what it would be like without it, but without him, I mean.
Ooh.
But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I can't just I've been hammering the Cowboys all season because we know that's my catchphrase: unprepared and undisciplined. But Dak has to take some responsibility. Why is his receivers constantly running the wrong routes? I gotta say, like 5-6 of his interceptions are receivers just they're cutting at 10 yards instead of 15. They're running fades instead of crossers. All this stuff, right? It's like, get your wide receiver room together. Let's put this together and actually win some games that we should be able to win against the Jaguars. So I don't know. That's my sort of rant on Dak. I just, I got so much faith in Dak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did not watch this game too much. Jaguars, decent chance in the playoffs with them winning and the Titans losing. Definitely. And the Jaguars and Titans have a matchup like against each other later in the season. That will be a pretty big game. That will be a very large game. That's the kind of little bit I'll put on the Jaguars. I mean, yeah, I think I saw some interesting stat about their strength of victory. I think it has to do with like the teams they've beaten, how they beat. I don't really know, but whatever that was, had the Jaguars up pretty high, in terms of like despite their subpar record.
Yeah. They only
the fact
lose
that they're
to
a 4
teams.
They only. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. So we're gonna move past that. Whatever half remembered anecdote I was gonna try to go with to the Patriots Raiders game. Another walk-off game. Could have went into overtime like the other 3 games that we just mentioned. Did not go into overtime. We're gonna talk about the fun thing later. And by later, I mean I gotta start off with the boring stuff, and that's just kind of talking about the sufferings, talking about the suffering of watching this Patriots game. Not a fun one to watch. First of all, and I'm going through my notes here. I got my notes on the side, right, as you do, because there was a sequence here that was not the crazy play. There was a different sequence that was almost worse. It was almost worse than the crazy play. But I mean, for one thing, the Patriots just love screenplays. I wrote it down a note because I think I saw 2 screenplays in a row. It was like, okay, we got wide receiver screen to this side, halfback screen, or no, it may have been 2 half. I don't know what it was. I remember writing a note that they did multiple screenplays in a row, and they do that a lot. But no. So here's what happens. Patriots get a long pass. Maybe it was pass interference. I forget. Gets them within the 5 against the Raiders. At this point, the Raiders have given up 15 touchdowns. Like when the other team gets within the 5, 100% of the time, the other team gets within the 5, they give up a touchdown. Mm-hmm. That's the stage. So Patriots are on the 4, whatever it is, 1st and goal on the 4. They and it just sums it up because there's one play. Okay, Mac Jones misses receiver, overthrows receiver. I don't know if it's a great route or whatever, but whatever, overthrows the receiver. Guy doesn't even have a chance to touch it. That happens, and then here we go. Dial up. It's 3rd down. Okay, set hike, gets the ball, throws it, touchdown pass. But wait. The sideline called a timeout. Not the Raiders sideline. The Patriots. It's like they iced their own team. It's like they iced their own 3rd down. Or not literally, because they're probably trying to change the call or something.
Down? What was the idea?
I think it was, but I forgot that part. But I think the announcers like seem to say it was more because they must have seen something on the field to like change up the play call. Like it was going to be one of those, but they ran the play. It was a touchdown. Like obviously did not convert. Okay, and then what happens here? Oh yeah, and then they get another touchdown. Right, then it's like they get another play. Nothing of value happens. It's the Patriots offense. Nothing of value happens. It's fourth down. I think they go for it on fourth. It's like fourth and goal at the 2. Okay, so hike, boom, another touchdown pass. Wait, flag on the play. Jonnu Smith, the man who fumbled the ball untouched earlier in the season after getting a 6-yard catch, and I think he got it. I don't think he lost it, but he gets a false start, overturns the touchdown. And then they settle for a field goal, making them the only team this season out of 16 attempts, the only team this season to not get a touchdown on the Raiders when you get within the 5. And that, for me, sums up this offense. And then, I'll mention that the kind of weird call with the touchdown where they ruled it a touchdown, but it probably should have been out of bounds.
Yeah, so Patriots
I don't like that. Yeah,
Patriots were up. Right,
they were somehow.
They were up somehow after. I think they were down. Right, they were losing.
They were down. Yeah, they were losing.
They come all the way back and take the lead,
and then take a lead by a touchdown, like 24-16 or something, whatever it was.
Late in the fourth quarter, Raiders actually put together a drive and score this touchdown. And what happened? Like what happened? What was the play call? Because I didn't see. Like I saw the highlight, but I didn't see what the chain of events in terms of refereeing happened. So. Can you walk me through, like, okay, play happens. Did they call it a touchdown? Did they not call it what happened?
Yeah. So here's what happens. It's I think it's a third down. I actually don't remember what down it is. I don't remember that part. But receivers running like a fade sort of route, like running like a fade sort of route to the end of the end zone, 1-on-1 man coverage. I think at this point, like at least, but by the time he actually catches the ball, what happens is. He's on the very edge of the end zone. He catches the ball. He gets 1 foot down and the other foot extremely close. It is very close.
To the line.
And they rule it on the field. Yeah, it's on the line. And when you see the photos and everything, it's very clear how close it is. But they rule it a touchdown catch. Okay. Which I like. It was so close. I'm glad they did it because it forces the review. It's one of those things. In a perfect world, they would review it anyway, even if it was an incomplete pass. But I know that I can understand why they don't. Blah blah blah. But they call on the field. I like that call. I like it. It was very close, and I liked it. Sure. But then it gets sent up to New York. It's sent all to the Skybox to review, as you do, and it's. Some of the angles you can't tell because they're not great angles, but there's one aerial angle pointing down where you can see pretty clearly that the guy's cleats, like the front of his foot, is about an inch out of bounds. Yeah. Like when he lands with a second, not like it slides. Like when he lands about a toe's length, like about an inch or something out of bounds. And it's at this point. I know other photo angles have come out from sideline photographers and stuff, and the refs don't have that. But even without that, the aerial angle shows, I would say clear and obviously, that a toe is out of bounds, which we can debate the rules all day, but like I like that is the like I would argue that it was close. It's clearly
I
enough.
The shot.
He is out of bounds.
It was definitely out of bounds.
He was out of bounds.
So, but that's what
and they
like the announcers must.
And then it's sent to review. Yeah, and it's sent. And it's not like they force out an next play. It's not like they force out an next play. It didn't get to review. But this was sent to the box. This was sent wherever these plays get sent. You know the depths of hell. I don't know where, and it's sent there for review, right? For minutes, right? Like 5 minutes or however long. It's not like this was some sort of like this, like in the Vikings Bills game where they kind of had the catch and it was all hurry up offense and they couldn't fully review it, but it wasn't really a catch. It wasn't like that. They had all the time in the world. It was reviewing a touchdown, reviewing a scoring play, and somehow didn't get that. Sorry.
And what did the announcers say? Because you must have saw it on TV. Like this is clearly
at first
out.
They were iffy. At first they were kind of like because the first couple of angles are iffy because like because they ruled a touchdown, and then the first couple angles they show are kind of, you can't really tell because it's kind of like more like a side angle, like from the back of the end zone or stuff like that. And from those angles, you can't, exactly. You don't see the front of the foot, so it's kind of hard to tell. And then they show an aerial shot, and now, and then at first, when they first show it, one of the announcers, I forget who was calling the game. One of the announcers was very clear, like, oh, yep, that definitely looks out of bounds. And the other guy, was kind of also saying that was kind of like, oh, but is it like obvious enough to overturn? If I remember correctly, and I may not, if I remember correctly, they eventually kind of got to both saying pretty clearly, like, oh, this should probably be overturned. I think they had a rules guy on, or I know they had a rules guy on. I forget precisely what he said, but I'm pretty sure he was also saying, like, yeah, you see on this aerial angle, you can see that the front of his foot looks like it's out of bounds. I know one of the college announcers was talking about whether, like, what colored, like, dirt was being thrown up, like turf, whatever grass, I don't know what type of field it is, that what color that, and can you see white being thrown up, or is it only black being thrown up? There was like that, but I felt like they were definitely leaning that should be out of bounds, because they showed that once they showed the aerial camera angle, the one that the refs had, an angle the refs did have,
right,
from above.
I think the only thing that makes sense, because I mean, this is why people get upset and start to worry about the legitimacy of some of these games and the integrity of the sport, because you actually have all the fail safes to make sure that this gets the right call. So often we don't have the mechanisms to make sure that the right call is made. This is clearly not subjective. His foot is on the line. It goes to an external, it's like reviewed in New York, all scoring plays reviewed in New York, or whatever the hell it is. And they mess this up. And the only thing I can think is that his cleat is black and white, and the front of it is black.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And it looked like, because the end zone was black and the end line is white, if you were looking at it, you might say his cleat is completely white, and then his black little inch of cleat in the front, you might have thought that was field. It actually, from that angle, I could zoomed see in, that. That's not super far fetched. I
know.
But you'd have to be somebody who's like some old ref in New York looking, and it, like, I just don't know how you miss it.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
I don't know how you miss it.
I definitely,
you could.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that too. Like, oh, it's what a shame. Like, okay, end zone's black and white. The guy's cleats are black and white. Like, I was thinking the same thing. And for me, the biggest, like, with that is it makes you, like, because I love that they called it a touchdown so that it could go to review. I like that as an idea, but for me, it's also kind of annoying that, okay, we let it go to review, but then there's also the idea, and again, I think there should be the idea of, like, overwhelming evidence or whatever, clear and obvious, whatever it is, that it then, by calling it a touchdown, you're also, one side is favored, right?
Yes.
Like, it no longer is 50-50, like, whatever is that. One side is now favored. You have to disprove this side. It's not, okay, which side's which. It's, you have to disprove it, which is unfortunate for this sort of thing, where I think by calling it a touchdown, they let it go to automatic review. You don't have to go do all sorts of stuff. I think that's unfortunate. We should move on.
Yeah. Let's go
to the best part of the game. My favorite play in the game. And this is why I'm not at all mad about that ref thing. Why I'm not at all mad about that. Yeah, the Patriots shouldn't be in the situation for what's about to happen, but hey, if you're gonna do this, I kind of care less. If it was gonna go to overtime and you lose on the first drive in overtime, then I'd be upset. But, like,
you don't deserve to win.
So yeah, but at this point, they start trying to drive down the field. Right, this touchdown happens. Patriots get the ball. I don't know how much time's left, like a minute left or something. I don't remember. Like 30 seconds. It was like 30 seconds left. They have like a timeout. No, they have two timeouts even. And they go, okay, they kind of dink and dunk a bit down the field. They go maybe like 20 yards or something down the field. They end up having very little time left. They got like, they try stuff. They end up having 3 seconds left. And they're on like their own 45. They're on like their own 45. You're not going to have time. Even if you get into field goal range, you don't have time to kick field goal. So they call a halfback draw. Out of shotgun, halfback draw. and to Ramondre Stevenson's. He goes out. He runs maybe a good 20, 25 yards or so. Right? Yeah. It's a pretty good run because they were playing quarters or something. They were playing some sort of prevent defense. He goes down pretty far. I was starting to watch like, ooh, wait a second. This is why Ramondre's the best player on the Patriots. Wait a second. But then obviously like it's prevent. So yes, the players are not near the line, but there's still 11 players in the field. They eventually start collapsing. Ramondre's about to get tackled, and he laterals it to his right. He laterals it to his right to Jacoby Myers. He's kind of looking for it. Then he's about to get tackled. Then he does it. Jacoby Myers gets it. He's right at the edge of the sideline. He can't go straight. He can't go kind of to the left. He's got to kind of run backwards a bit. He kind of starts running backwards because he wants to kind of loop around. He's going to kind of try to swing around. But then it becomes clear to him he can't. And he sees his guy. He sees his guy out back 20 yards in the opposite direction, 20, 25 yards backwards. I'd say downfield, but it's upfield. It's the other way. He sees him. He sees Mac Jones, and he goes. I think he played quarterback in college. They sometimes like put him in on the trick play flea flickers. He lets it fly, 20, 25 yards the other way. Only Patriot in the even like within a 10-yard radius sort of thing of this ball is Mac Jones, one of the least athletic quarterbacks in the league, probably, at least based on that one photo of him shirtless with the cigar. If you remember from college, like I think he had just won a bowl game or something. Whatever happened, I don't remember. It's like this is not he can scramble okay in the sense of evades. Like at least I remember one time game, but he is no Michael Vick, right? And even if he was, you're asking him. Even if he catches this 30-yard, 20-yard backwards lateral, even if he gets it. He now has. You're telling me Mac Jones with nobody around him, nobody within a 10-yard radius of him, is going to be able to break this off. No. And it's like, but he doesn't even catch it because if he catches it, I do not think he's in a lateral. There's no one near him unless he laterals it forward. And frankly, for that matter, if he laterals it forward, that's also good. Because what instead happens instead of him getting the ball and getting tackled, the ball doesn't even get to him. It gets to Chandler Jones, the former first-round draft pick by the Patriots. He catches it. It's one-on-one, him versus Mac Jones. He banishes Mac Jones to the shadow realm, just stiff arms him into the ground, because this is a unathletic quarterback versus a very good linebacker. Like pass rushing linebacker. He just like get out of my way and then takes it back for a touchdown. And that's the thing. Takes back for a touchdown. Not like, oh, okay, but like it's not like the Patriots were going to lose this game. I mean, they could have, and obviously they did, but it's not like they had to score a touchdown or lose. The game was tied.
It was a tie.
It was going to go to overtime. There was 3 seconds left when the play started. It was going to go to overtime. They probably just called a play on the off chance it would work because no way they fumble and get it returned for a touchdown. But I just talked a lot. What are your thoughts on this? I remember texting you, Jared, turn on the game, because I audibly said out loud, "Oh my god!" I don't do that all that often watching games. I audibly say that out loud, and I immediately text you, Jared, turn this game on right now. You got to turn this on. You got to see the replay.
Yeah, so I think I'm watching some other game that was supposed to be good in the 4:00 hour, right? That wasn't, or whatever.
Bengals Bucks, I think.
Yeah, Bengals were blowing at the Bucks, and so you text me, turn this game on now, and I'm thinking Mac Jones somehow threw a pick six to end this, right? And no, instead I turn it on, and the Raiders are celebrating, in the end zone, like the whole team. And I'm waiting for the replay. And the replay comes on. And
it took a while for the replay.
I've never seen a backwards lateral like that. That backwards lateral was like a full on like 20-yard pass. And it wasn't, he went back and threw it like a quarterback. Like
he wound up. Yeah.
He was like, oh, I'm a drop this dime in the opposite direction to Mac Jones. There's no way that was what was supposed to happen. Like, there's just no way that I would doubt that. Like, if they're coaching them to if the play was, hey, let's go do a little hook and ladder, let's go do try to see if we can do a little lateral thing and catch him off guard. I hate that play call, and I can't imagine Bill would have signed off on that.
I don't think even as much as as much as all Patriots fans dislike Matt Patricia, I don't at all think this is his. I mean, not maybe not at all, but this is not. I do not think he called this.
No,
I do not think this
it
is
must
planned.
have been impromptu. Stevenson said, "Oh, I'll lateral it to Jacoby. Maybe he can break it off. If not, we get tackled in bounds." And then Jacoby's just like, "Yeet," and it's just like, "What are we doing?" Yeah, that was.
And the best part was at the start of the play after he hands it off, because this is a quarterback handing up the ball off in a halfback draw against a prevent defense. As soon as he hands the ball off, it almost looks like he starts walking off the field. He just stands there, hands on his hips, right? Because really, he did not think there was even a possibility the ball would get back to him.
No, of course not.
Because
of course not. Yeah, what a mess. Patriots really starting to look like they're like. They've gone from dynasty to late stage like Cowboys team so fast. Like the progression is crazy. How mistakes that they make. You know what I mean?
You know what? I have to not to drag this out even longer. Lord knows I don't want to. But the one thing I'll say is this game, not the best by Mac Jones. I have been a long Mac Jones truther. I've been a bit of a Mac, fully blaming the receiver, like the fact that they're not spending a lot on receivers. Patriots never do, other than like I don't know Randy Moss. It's Matt Patricia. They have a failed head coach, average defensive coordinator, blah blah blah. Matt Patricia coaching the offense, and I was gonna blame it all on that, and I think that stuff is still a problem. But here's Mac Jones' stat line. 13 for 31. 112 yards. It's like a 40% completion rate, 112 yards, against a Raiders team that is not particularly good. They're 6-8. You're only one game ahead of them. I think that's how that works. But, like, come on. This is a bad team, and Mac, you're going to complete 13 passes for 112 yards? Like, could we not? I'm sure the play calls are bad. I'm sure people are dropping passes. I did watch the game, but I also saw a lot of bad throws. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely, this was the turning point for me of being more willing to put the blame on Mac Jones. Not solely. I would never say solely, but I'm definitely starting to, inch in that direction.
Hey, I'm not saying that you shouldn't or anything, but I will like to point out that we give Trevor Lawrence a whole year off. We say, Trevor Lawrence, your coach. I mean, I know he had a really bad coach. Hey, your coach was so bad that we're not even going to count your rookie year. This is like your rookie year, Trevor. And we like to baby Trevor Lawrence and say that that's okay. Well, Mac Jones, he had Josh McDaniels, right? Before he went to the Raiders
last year as an offensive coordinator, yeah.
But now he's got a defensive guy as his offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, I'm throwing this season out.
And offensive line coach, because that is generally in the season. This game maybe not as much, but generally in the season, offensive line's been a problem too. Because Matt Patricia also has to coach that. Like, I feel bad for Matt Patricia. The fact that he has to take on this new role as offensive coordinator, and they're making him O-line coach.
Yeah,
that's a separate thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. That looks really bad.
I think
it looks really bad. There's no other way to say it. And I'm sure that if you put Patrick Mahomes in that offense, he'd have more than 112 yards. I just want to, let's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
we're gonna give Trevor Lawrence a long leash. I'm comfortable giving Mac Jones a leash, but I understand the frustration.
Give Zach Wilson. Are we giving Zach Wilson a long leash?
No, I'm not giving Zach Wilson anything. Nope.
Well, that's kind of a good transition. Talking about Zachy Zach and the Funky Bunch. Go on, you lead this. I'm not doing it. You. lead us into the next segment. Because I'm not sure which games you want to talk about. I don't know which games you want to. I mean, I see it, but I'm not sure which you want to talk about.
Yeah, we have some there was a lot of big games actually. Playoff.
There are a lot of good games.
Lots of good games. I want to talk about. We have a lot of them listed here, but I want to talk about Bills and Dolphins. This was the Saturday night game. It was an absolute blast. Fun game throughout. Lots of scoring, lots of offense.
Snow game,
Yeah, and it didn't snow, but then at the end, like halfway through the fourth quarter, it starts to really snow hard, and it starts to actually cover the field.
Yeah,
just that fast.
Like a story. Yeah, like it's a like storybook.
Storybook ending.
Like you could read it.
It's a 3-point game. It's just unbelievable, right? Or it's tied at the end. Buffalo's driving. Snow's pouring down. They're showing Tua. He's freezing on the sidelines. Either way, Miami actually played really good. They had a lead in plenty of this game. Tua looked good. All this stuff about the weather, blah, blah, blah. Yes, he did lose, but it was just because the Bills had the ball at the end of the game. They kicked a field goal to win. They did not easily beat the Dolphins in these conditions. Honestly, the funny thing about this game was they had just gotten a foot of snow, or maybe a foot and a half of snow, and they had cleared the entire field and everything. So the field looked great for the entire game, but they never cleared the stands. So everybody came in and their seats had 2 feet of snow on them. And so they had to anybody who wanted to sit down would have to shovel out their own seat. And I mean, I'm talking they'd show it and they'd show patches where people didn't show up, and there'd be 4 seats and you couldn't even see the seats. That's how much snow was sitting on these seats. And so there's all this snow in the stadium, and the fans are just pelting snowballs the entire game. They're pelting snowballs on the field, in the end zone, at the Miami players. It's just to the point that I think Buffalo got a 15-yard penalty for the fans throwing snowballs. It's the most obnoxious. It's the most Buffalo Bills Mafia.
That's so funny.
It's
so funny.
You got a bunch of drunk Buffalo people together on a Saturday night, and you gave them a bunch of snow to chuck at the Dolphins, and then you're gonna be they're
against
saying,
a divisional rival.
The referees are don't throw snow, do not throw snow. God. They're putting it on the top of the stadium, do not throw snow.
I can only imagine. I can only think how many snowballs I'd throw if I was there. No.
The thing is, we're watching in the end zone. Tua's trying to pass to Tyreek, and it didn't actually seem like it made that much of a difference. But live plays, they're throwing into the end zone, and snowballs are also being thrown into the end zone. It looks like Tyreek is trying to
catches a snowball.
Yeah, he's dodging, getting hit by snowballs live during the play. It's what is going on here? So that's real classy by the Buffalo folk. I gotta be honest.
Although at that point, you gotta think some Dolphins fans are trying to false flag, potential Dolphins false flags, because then it's hey, if I was a Dolphins fan and I was in that stadium and I hear, hey, if anyone throws a snowball, 15-yard penalty on the, I could say either way
until the Buffalo fans kick your ass. The 100 Buffalo fans around you that throw you through a table.
That's pretty true. Who are drunk and are clearly warmed up by all the snowballs they were throwing. But yeah, I think one thing I'll say about this, because I didn't watch this too closely. I think it's a good loss for the Dolphins. This is a moral, because that was half my worry with them was going to be okay. I mean, also with the Patriots losing, but part of my worry is okay. Then now they got to go the Patriots in New England. That might snow. This showed Tua can play in snow. He may not be amazing, it's not blah blah blah. But this was a very close game, like you said, and I think they were leading at a point, and so on, blah 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 blah. And it's
right.
like the kind of narrative that I was also kind of saying too. Not kind of that, the narrative I was saying, right, about the Dolphins and cold weather and that this could be a real worry.
Yeah.
I'm not nearly as worried about that. and this is a team. This is the fact that it was this close too. It's not just they scored a lot of points. They played okay, but they lost by a score like by 7 points. No, this was like a game winning field goal drive. Pretty good loss for the Dolphins in that sense. Not as good as a win. Lions beat the Jets 2017. I watched this game. This was a Zach Wilson game. I mean, yeah. I closed my notes. I think I wrote one note about this. Did I write a note about this? Oh yeah, there was a very spicy. Lions were going. They were down. They were down. I forget how much. Down like 4. They were down 4. They were down 4, and they have to go drive down the field. It's like 2-minute drill sort of thing. I forget how exactly much time was left, but it's like a 2-minute drill. And it's a 4th and inches. They get it to 4th and inches at like the 50, and they go for it. But I think as you do, because you have to at this point. But they do this kind of interesting play where they have the tight end block. Like they have him actually stay back at block, then they have him release into a drag route, and he was wide open, and he took it. This is after trading Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got the hiccups. After trading Hawkinson, they have their other tight end, who's better at blocking. As I hear, they have him stay back block, go with the drag route, wide open on the drag route, gets it, takes it 51 yards for a touchdown, and that puts them up by 3. That gets it to 20-17. The Jets then. They kind of get a couple pretty good deep passes, a couple pretty atrocious passes by Zach Wilson, if I remember correctly. But they get it pretty close. They get it to a 58-yard field goal to tie it with seconds left. There is some weird clock management going on. Like this is something I can't put it into detail. You'd have to watch it. But something was weird. It felt like the Jets had 3 timeouts. They had like a minute and 3 timeouts, and they lost on time.
Yeah, they weren't.
And to get into field goal range, there was whatever it was. I don't know, but 58-yard field goal, they miss it. Like by a lot. It looked like Lions win. Lions now have a non-losing record. They're 7-7. I think half a game or 1 game behind a playoff spot. Pretty good for the Lions. Pretty good for that Lions campaign that I was running other weeks. Definitely excited for them. Excited their rookie, one of their rookies who they drafted. I think he was a 2nd-round pick because they had 2 2nd-round picks. Another pass rusher, the other side on like the other side again, as opposed to Aiden Hutchinson. And he's already after only starting like 2 or 3 games or 4 games, he's already the second in the rookie sack leaders.
There you go.
After only playing like 2 or 3 games, which is pretty big for him and for the Lions. With Hutchinson at 1, they have like 7 and 5 respectively or something. It's pretty good for that rookie, for those rookies there.
So here's the thing with the Lions, right?
Here we go.
I'm happy for them. That's great and all. All right. I think that I like a lot of these guys in this team. I like the Jared Goff redemption arc, everything. That's great. All right. Watched Hard Knocks. Loved it. They could make it to the playoffs, but really this really shows, if they do make it, just really how bad the NFC is. Because you look at the NFC North with Green Bay falling out of it, and the Bears seeming to have some talent and trading it away, and then really like having 3 wins somehow after being competitive in almost all their games.
Yeah. I know.
You look at Seattle, who should have had a playoff spot locked up.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, but keep losing to bad teams. And so all this happens right now. Seattle is sliding out. Washington looks like they might not make it, and now the Lions have a chance. Do you remember?
Who do you have faith in? Who do you have faith in the NFC?
I know, right? Yeah. And that's the whole point. But the problem is, remember the play where
Eagles 49ers.
Well, I don't remember who Lions were facing, but they needed a first down, and they threw it to Penei Sewell. Remember that play?
Oh, yes. It was against the Vikings, actually.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, right. Yeah, so against the Vikings, they need a first down. It's like 3rd down. It's a critical point of the game. Otherwise, you punt, you give it back to the Vikings, right? Dan Campbell, I believe it was on Pat McAfee. He's doing an interview on Pat. Yeah, he's doing a Pat McAfee interview, so he's feeling loose. And so that Penei Sewell play comes up, right? Where this ridiculous play where they throw it to the offensive lineman. And you want to know what Dan Campbell had to say? I want people to go and watch it. I mean, this guy doesn't need more views, but
I can't stand it.
You got to see him say this honestly. I don't know it, but he says, this is what he says. All right, man. So, I'm watching the stadium, okay? During that moment, right? Pat McAfee asked him, what was the thought process for that play? I'm watching the stadium, man, and they're doing the wave, man. The whole stadium's doing the wave, right? And my offensive coordinator, whatever, is the young guy who's calling the offense. He says into my ear, "Hey, we're gonna go with whatever XY banana," and he calls the play in my ear. But I'm not listening to him because I'm watching the wave, man. This is the goddamn head coach. And he's like, so I tell him, I'm like, yeah, go with the play. I tell him to go with it. And he's like, all right. So they call in the play. And I'm looking out in the field because I'm still kind of watching the wave go around the stadium. And I look out in the field and Penne's got the ball. What is going on right now? This guy, this is the guy, and he's saying this on Pat McAfee's show.
This is fake. This is fake. Okay, it's fake.
I know.
No. He said it, but no. He's throwing teams off, making himself look dumber than he is. It's all an act. This is some Sun Tzu level maneuvering.
Listen,
this is some Sun Tzu art of war maneuvering done by Dan Campbell.
Maybe it's a joke. Maybe he was joking. That's just what I saw was him telling that story.
And I remember the Patriots shutting out the Lions, with the Lions going for it like 6 or 7 times, like 6 times on 4th down and not converting a single time. Like 0 for 6 on 4th downs. I mean, I definitely get that worry. I
just would be like, what are we doing? The coach in the critical part of the game is watching the wave, man.
No, that's fake. I know he said it. I'm not calling you a liar. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying Dan Campbell's being mischievous. This is some mischievous stuff.
You cannot imagine that he's that dumb. That's what you're saying? You just can't. You refuse to believe that someone has fallen into success that easily, and just fallen into a head coach.
At least Dan Campbell has coaching experience. He does. He's not an ESPN analyst, high school coach getting a full time. He had been a tight end coach. I think he had done a couple.
Coach. He was an interim coach.
He had done a couple, ins and outs. The other 2 games we have here, we can breeze by. Chargers beat Titans 17-14. Battle of the mid teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything. This is yet another thing solidifying the Patriots not making the playoffs with the Chargers winning again. Biggest piece of this game is the Jaguars it helps them stay in the playoff race in that terrible division.
Right.
There's that. Other than that, nothing all that interesting. Giants commies.
Giants.
I watched it as well.
It was a super fun game Sunday night. I don't know how many times Chris Collinsworth had to say NFC East, classic NFC East showdown. NFC East football. That's just gritty NFC. So. But it was a fun game. Thought Taylor Heineke had a couple opportunities to tie it again. It was actually on track to go 2020 tie again. If Taylor Heineke, it was looking ridiculous because I believe that they were down 7 or 8 in the last game, and they at the last second got a score and sent to overtime at 2020. And I was thinking, man, if they tie each other again within 3 weeks of each other at the same score, I'm gonna die. Like, that cannot be real. Like, but it was a fun game. It was good, and
classic NFC East football. Yeah, definitely big for the big playoff game, like playoff implications, right? Because they had the same exact record, if I remember right.
Right.
And it would be surprising if both teams make it. It's possible, definitely, but it'd be surprising. So definitely good for the Giants there. I know there was some talk about ref stuff. I didn't watch. I didn't really catch that stuff, so I can't speak to it. But I know a lot of discussion about refs there. Do you want to touch on that, or we can just move on to?
My only thing with the reffing was
because I don't really know. I didn't really know.
In the last drive, Washington did score a TD. Like they ran it in for a TD, but they got called on some sort of weird formation penalty. The wide receiver wasn't lined up on the line or something. It was some sort of there's some weird rule.
He was a couple inches or whatever, however far too far back off. Yeah, I think it was that. It was that. I think they had an analyst said on TV that it was that was too technical to call. It wasn't that it was incorrect necessarily, but it was like wow, like you're calling that. Well, like that's a ticky tacky thing.
Line up correctly. Line up correctly. I don't know. It's not that big of an ask to just scooch up the 2 inches or whatever it may be. What I thought was weird in that final drive was twice they stopped the game to check if a receiver had gone out of bounds or not on a play, and I was like, wait, we can just stop and check that? Like, why? And why are we stopping and checking? Why don't we? Like, what? Why is that the concern? Why is that the like? I watch refs blow calls every freaking week. I watch them like swallow the whistle, and even in that game, the last I think maybe what people are upset about
was it Saints Rams? I believe.
I believe
it was the classic Saints Rams game.
Yeah, and this game was the last play on 4th down into the end zone. Taylor Heineke throws to Samuel, I think, and Samuel is literally being blanketed by a Giants guy. He's like got a Giants guy as a backpack, and it was clearly PI. Everyone's like, wow, that's a lot of contact. That's like the announcers are like, that's a lot of contact.
That is quite a bit of contact on that play.
Like, don't want to straight up say like, wow, can't believe they didn't call it. That's a terrible no call. But they say, hey, that was a lot of contact, and it's like, I don't know, last play on 4th down, like they let you play, like make a play. Sorry, they let you play. Shove the guy off of you because they're not going to call you. He's on your back. Give him a stiff arm and go get the ball. But yeah, so they don't call that. But they're stopping the game for 35 seconds to a minute and a half to say, oh, was his knee down before his elbow went down out of bounds? Or was Taylor Heineke's left butt cheek in before his right butt cheek was out? I mean, legitimately. And I'm like, why are we stopping this? But they can pass interfere on an actual important is an actual important part, and we don't care about that. Like it's just weird that why
gotta let them play
what we're choosing.
You gotta let the refs just play. You gotta let the refs go out there and have classics.
Yeah. So we're super late on time, but I don't know. Do you want any specifics?
Is there anything else with playoff picture?
Yeah, I think we hit a lot.
The Bucks looked like the Ravens. The Ravens lost, but they were down Lamar, but they did lose. Bengals now took the division on that, so they will get to host a playoff game. I don't really have too much.
Yeah, it just looks like to me that it's a race in the NFC. It's a race between Seattle, Washington, and the Lions, and they all can't get in. Only one of them can. And now in the AFC, Miami suddenly is sort of could fall out. The Chargers are looking a lot better, but they could also still fall out. And I guess Jets and Patriots are fighting for one of their spots.
They're technically still. Patriots play the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills. Those are the games the Patriots have left. I'd be shocked if they win one of them.
Yeah, that's I think that well, they gave
unless Dolphins unless it's like that Bills game last season where they don't have to throw the ball because it's such blizzard conditions. If they get one of those, I think the Patriots, because Ramondre Stevenson had like 200 yards rushing or something like that. Some of that was on that final play where he lateraled it, but still, like he had a great game running wise. If something can be that, there's old school 1950s Army versus Navy sort of football, then then maybe. But
my take is that
no.
after this weekend,
but that's one game. They still don't make it.
After this weekend, the Patriots should not be allowed to be in the playoffs. I don't care what happens. I don't care if they win out.
I want them to lose out because at this point, I know I know it sucks as a fan to say that and to root for the tank, even though I'm a big tank fan. But as much for a team I actually care about, like for a team I truly care about, it sucks to say like let's just lose all our games, right? And I fully recognize that. But at this point, this team does not deserve the playoff. Like we need a reset. Find an O-line coach. If you want to keep Patricia as OC, find some coaches around him. Do some I'd prefer to lose 3 games, improve all your draft picks. Like at this point, like you're not, even if you make the play, you'll just get embarrassed again. And this is, I'd be shocked. And you have to play the 3 of the best teams in the league left on the schedule. I don't know.
Hey, I think that your Christmas wish for that
defeat
just might come true if you look at the schedule. Moving on to the end of the episode here. Stats question. You go first this time. I'm up 5.5 to 4 after taking a point last week.
This is
So you're going to go ahead and start.
I got a good stats question. So here we go. Receiving. So close any stats on receiving you might have. Justin Jefferson leads the league in receptions and reception yards. Although we're going to ignore that. Shouldn't have even said that. He leads the lead in receptions, both among the league and receivers. Who leads the league in receptions of non-receivers? So which non-receiver, non-wide receiver, so not Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, those are the top 2. Who's not like a wide receiver has the most receptions?
The most just receptions, not reception yards. Just total receptions, like catches.
I'll go just reception. You know what? We could do both if you want, and you get a half point for both. I could do that. I was kind of thinking that. Let's do that.
Oh, is it? And it's separate. Do
you want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to do that? I mean, or it's not necessarily separate. It's just in case you wanted to do 2 guesses.
No, I'll just answer your actual question. I'll just answer your actual. Like, it's got to be a running back. I gotta imagine, right? And I'm almost certain that I've heard this weekend. It's like this quarterback's number 1 target is blank, and I'm like their number 1 target's a running back, and I'm trying to remember who's got really bad wide receivers. I think the Giants have a really bad wide receiver core, so
they do.
Most receptions, I'm thinking. I gotta think I'm gonna guess Saquon Barkley, understanding that it very well could be someone like, maybe it could be Christian McCaffrey because he's getting a lot of receptions in the screen game and stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Saquon Barkley.
That is very far off the right answer.
Oh,
I'm trying to find. I'm scrolling through pages just trying to find. Oh, here. So he has 47 receptions. Saquon Barkley.
Okay, see, but
that's one reception.
That's more than any Giants receiver, though. I think.
Probably. But the 3, I'll go the top 3 in reverse order of non quarterbacks, unless this is a tight end. I don't know if it is. No, it's not. The top 3 in reverse order. We have Christian McCaffrey coming in at 3.
Okay.
Oh my! I'm losing control of my tabs. Christian McCaffrey, he's 3 at 74 receptions, and then we have Travis Kelce at 2 with 91 receptions.
Oh, I didn't even think about tight end. I figured tight ends were receivers, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh well, either way, it's not him. The number 1 is a running back, but it is not the running back of the Giants. It is the running back of the San Diego Chargers.
Oh,
Austin Eckler.
Yeah, that's a good guess too. Yeah,
love the San Diego Chargers. No, but yeah, he does not. He has around half the receiving yards of Kelce, but he has 4 more receptions at 95 receptions.
Hey, there you go.
So, yeah.
Eckler, he does a
there you
lot.
go.
He does a lot in the wide receiving or the
There you go.
receiving game as a running back. All right, my question is
Kind of
easy.
nice here.
As
Closing all my tabs.
we race
All my
to the
tabs
end
closed.
of the season, I'm trying to keep this close. As I took a lead last week. No, I'm just kidding. But I want to do this because of the historic comeback. So I have a 2-part question here for you, and I think you should be able to get both. Maybe only one, depending on what you've seen this weekend. So obviously we had the largest comeback in NFL history this weekend. The former largest comeback in NFL history was the Bills overcoming a 35-3 deficit against none other than the Houston Oilers in the wild card round of the 92-93 weekend. Okay, this is a wild card game. They were down 35-3
years ago too.
Okay, so who was the QB for the Bills who led that comeback? And I'll give you a hint if you don't know, because if you already don't know, then this is going to be a hard question. This QB was the backup QB because Jim Kelly was hurt. Okay, this is the Jim Kelly Buffalo Bills. This QB was the backup, and he would go on to become a head coach in the NFL.
So it is who I think. I heard the stat. I like this part. I heard this, that it was a 32 point. It was one less, and that the player, or like that. I didn't know. I didn't know he was a player. For all I knew, he was assistant head coach, but was tied to the Colts as well, and that is Frank Reich.
Frank Reich, very good. So that's
Frank Reich. So I'm
true.
assuming it's him. The fact that you said head coach, I was going to be unsure. I thought you were going to try to make me think of the backup quarterback of the 1992 Buffalo Bills. I mean, I wouldn't have known it was the backup. I would have just guessed. I would have tried to think who was the Bills quarterback then. But yeah, when you said the head coach, that definitely, I remember. I had that stat in my mind, so I figured it would be Frank Reich anyway. But
yeah. So Frank Reich actually leads this comeback, and he goes on to lead the Buffalo Bills through the playoffs until Jim Kelly came back in the Super Bowl. So they actually go all the way to the Super Bowl. Do you know who they lost to in the Super Bowl that year?
92. Well, if it's 92, when was the Herschel Walker trade? That was that 91? I think that was also 92, because I know the Cowboys dynasty starts after that trade. I'm going to go. Wait, and this was on the Bills, so it's AFC, yeah. 92. I'm going to go the Cowboys. I'm going to go the Dallas Cowboys.
And that is correct. The Cowboys beat Buffalo 52-17 in that Super Bowl. And I believe that was the second Super Bowl that the Buffalo had lost.
Yeah. I know they lost a whole bunch of Super Bowls around then, and I knew the Cowboys won a whole bunch of Super Bowls around then. So it was 1989. October 1989 was the Herschel Walker trade, by the way.
Yeah. This was they had already gone in full. They were in full dynasty mode, really. With Irving and Aikman, and Smith and everything, and So there you go. That's 2.5 points make 1 point. And now you're back to 5 points here.
I'm only down. I'm down half a game. Half a game here.
That's right.
3 more podcasts left.
That was just. I wanted to reminisce a little bit about when the Cowboys used to win championships. So that's sort of
that was actually the last time the Cowboys even won an NFC Championship game. Fun fact.
I know it's 90, not quite 95 actually. 95. Yeah. So not too far off.
Yeah, I know. I know it wasn't quite that, but it was close.
All right. Well, this has been a long one, but it was a long weekend. Saturday, Sunday football. You can't beat it.
Yeah, with the Saturday games, it kind of makes you pay more attention. It makes it harder for us to just ignore half the games that happen because there's physically more days they take place on.
Exactly. You can watch more games. They have more. They should have games on every day. I would never go to work. It would be great.
Yeah.
If you've stuck along for this far, make sure that you comment. If you don't like our takes, comment. If you like them, comment. We'll respond. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see more stuff from 710 Sports. But yeah, no, I think that we're probably gonna have a different schedule next week for the holidays. But I think the pin setter the pin setter should be out. It just might be out a little bit later, so we'll see about that. Just as a heads up. But so thanks for listening to 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. Have a good one.